Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you a little bit about how easy it is to actually sequence the new globe from EFL Designs. I've made a few improvements on some of the submodels to make it a little easier as well. I wanted to show that to you. I'm going to build a sequence, a little short animation, and show you what I do. And of course, you can build off of that and make it a little better if you'd like, whatever suits your needs. Let me share screen here. All right. So what I have here is a short 30-second animation, just default, and I'm going to bring in a few effects. I'm going to go to import effects, and I am in my One Republic I Ain't Worried About EFL Sequences song. I'm just going to click on that. Now, this is where the magic happens, and it's actually pretty easy. Um, Scroll down until you find the snow globe in your list, and you click on this little arrow to open up the submodels. And we're going to use the submodels for most everything we do. That really opens up a lot of doors for us. What I have is the 3D shade. I'm going to go into this a lot more in depth here in just a few. Base diamond, globe, matrix bottom, top, and then the custom strands and all that. So I'll explain what these are. The base is the actual bottom right here. And with most things like this, is pretty simple. So you just want some things that have maybe some single line effects. I'm going to use the house verticals for that. The base diamond, I've been using the mega tree star. So whenever I bring a sequence in from somebody, I'm putting the mega tree star on the base diamond. Seems to work well. The globe is the outer ring of the actual globe itself, and it works just like an arch. So I am going to put the arch on the globe. The matrix itself. The matrix is designed to be a round look, but it's also designed to take the place of a small megatree. And that allows you to put megatree effects on it and do some different things with that. So on the matrix, mega tree. And right now, that's pretty much it. But I will describe what the matrix top and the matrix bottom is a little bit later on when we go through the submodels. I'm just going to hit OK. I'm not going to save this for mapping. I am going to say yes, and that's going to bring in some effects on the snow globe. In the sequencer, double click your snow globe, and that opens it up. I am past 30 seconds on a lot of this, so I'm just going to delete what I can. Uh, Look, this is just for testing anyway, so I'm not really worried about if I get any errors or warnings or anything like that. So what I have right now, I have the base diamond, and it's a pretty simple here, so I like that. If it was a whole bunch of stuff, I would probably take some of it out to make it a little easier. On the matrix itself, yeah, on the matrix itself, we have quite a few effects here, which is pretty good. The globe, these are your arch effects, and we'll play through it. This may be a little busy, but it may not be. We'll play around with it and just see. So I'm going to do one thing first, and this is something that I like to do to my stuff. I'm going to drop a state effect right here on the main model. Control Shift left arrow and right arrow to fill in the space. I'm going to change this to static. And what that does is it actually fills in this color right here. It has the gold looking color for the bottom, the red on the diamond, and then a light blue for this. But it's all really dark. And what that allows me to do is sequence over the top of it. And I like to have it in a dark color so that it doesn't become overbearing for the rest of the effects. I really want the other effects to shine through, but I don't want this to go out. I want it to kind of show what it is. And so that's the way I accomplish that, by having darker colors here and fill it in, and it's filled in the entire time. If I wanted to, I could go up to the layer blending. I can do an in transition. I'm just going to give it quite a bit of time here, do an out transition of the same. And now we have an in and out of the state, which is actually coloring it in through the static state definition. All right, next thing is this. We're going to watch it for just a second, but you see how the star effects are working on the base diamond? It just gives it a little more appeal, so you could do that. The globe has the arch effects on it, and you see how it's doing. It looks pretty good. The matrix itself, which is this right here, the matrix itself is doing pretty good. And what it does is it's mirroring what a megatree would do. Now, one problem with this is that you got these hard edges, these very hard edges. And with this little bit of a gap right here, no, I can't fill it in because it actually takes away uh, for some of the 3D appeal. So I did stop there and you have this rounding look, but there are some hard edges. So how do we get over that? Pretty simple, actually. What we're going to do is that we have a new submodel down here called 3D Shade. Um, that's what I just named it. I don't know if that's the best name for it, but it is what I'm calling it. And believe it or not, we're going to use a face effect. Put a face effect on 3D Shade. I am going to control shift left and right arrow to fill in the space. And what you'll see is I have 3D shade face on the 3D shade. That makes a lot of sense, right? So you match those two and you'll have this. The key here, you'll see that it's white. This is actually a grayscale. And the key to fixing this is in the layer blending. And what we're going to do is we're going to change it from normal to brightness. Now, what that is doing is it is putting a shadow over top of your effect. And the reason why the 3D shade is at the bottom of the list is because it becomes a higher render order and it will actually cover the rest of this stuff. I could do this in different ways, but so far this seems to be the best way, the easiest way to explain it and to do it. What we're accomplishing here is giving ourselves a little bit of a shading all the way around the edge to soften those edges, and it gives it a lot more of a 3D appeal. What we want to do is make sure that we are using the brightness here for the layer blending on the face called 3D shade of face. Now we put that there, set the brightness, and we are good to go. Now, what you're going to see here is a lot darker shading effect than what's actually on the prop because of the way brightness is rendered here in the preview versus the actual prop is a lot different. So you may want to play around with that. And if you do, you'll have to do that in the layout. So let's go take a look at that. And I want to show you how this is set up. Here is the 3D globe. And we're going to look at the submodels first. Here's what I have. We have the base. We have the base diamond. We have the matrix. We have the globe. And we have the matrix bottom. And I won't stop here, but you see the matrix bottom is right here. If you want to scroll text or have some different effects going off across just the bottom, you could do that by using the matrix here and then using a sub buffer split on the halves and use the bottom half. It'll do the same thing. But just to have it there for ease ability, we have the matrix bottom and we have the matrix top. So you can scroll words separately through there. But that could be accomplished on the matrix by using the sub buffer and doing multiple layers. So we're just trying to make it a little easy. Strands is straight up and down like a megatree would be. So if you have some issues with the way some of the effects are coming across, and let's say that you have a Tom Bet George sequence where he's using individual strands and Darth Vader is trying to kill somebody or whatever the case may be. Well, you may want to use this strands here. And I'm not going to include it in this here, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Right click strands, split. Okay. When you split it, it's going to individualize each one of these strands. So you'll have each strand available if you need them. I'm not going to keep them in this new model, but that is there if you need them for whatever sequences you need. So I just click the top one, click the bottom one by holding shift, hit delete, and yes, you are gone. So back to the 3D shade. The 3D shade is actually pretty simple. It's the entire model. There's nothing special about that, but it allows us to put the face effect on a sub model by doing that. So the next part of this whole thing, let me hit OK. I'm going to save that just in case I decided to change something. Faces. Okay, there's been a couple different iterations here to figure out how that I wanted to accomplish this. Scroll out slightly so it makes more sense. This is the 3D shade itself. Now it's hard to see everything. I'm going to kind of click through these real quick. You can kind of see some of the things changing. I'm using the mouth as part of the outline here, and everything's exactly the same. You get to the eyes open, eyes open one, and eyes open or eyes closed is the exact same. They need to be exactly the same color and the number of pixels here. Eyes open 2 and eyes closed 2, same thing. Eyes 3 and closed 3 are all the same thing. What I'm using here is a grayscale. You could use colors, but you just really need to have the amount of shading that you need. Look, this is pretty dark. It seems really, really dark. Uh, and when you look at it on the real model, it's not going to be that way. You're still going to see it, but you're going to have a lot more shadowing there, and it can give you that appeal. But if you do need to modify it, you just come here, double click, and you'll have to pick your color. Now, what I have here is a 45, 45, 45. Now, if you want it lighter or whatever, use this slider. Don't try to use this over here or whatever. You can type in if you'd like, but the slider works great. Just pick a little bit dimmer color, play with it, brighter color, play with it, whatever you want to do there. But you notice that I have a slight graduation as I go all the way up. So I'm going to cancel this so that we don't do anything. If you want to change the colors on the eyes open, uh, make sure you do it on the eyes closed as well, because these have to be the same. Otherwise, it will blink and you'll wonder what in the world's going on. So make sure that you do the same for each appropriate one. Open, open 2, open 3, matches, close, close 2, and close 3. So do exactly the same as you would on the other. All right. So there was another iteration that I did, and I use state as outline. And this is just a blank face, but it uses the definition and it allows me to use the states that I had defined for it. I think that's an extra complication that's not necessary. So I'm just going to stay with the faces for the model that ends up coming out. But the way that works is that you bring the face on the same submodel as you would this one, the other one, and you use state as outline, apply that state, and it does the same shading as you would, as long as you put it on brightness in the layer blending. But again, that's another step that we don't have to take if we can define it in the face itself. So I'm going to hit cancel. If you do make any changes, of course, you want to hit OK and save. Let's go back to the sequencer. Let's take a look at that stuff here. Now I've got a couple that I brought in, like the Able face. It may not actually be there. Frosty, green ornament. This is the state as outline dimmer. Again, I'm not going to keep that in here, but it is kind of interesting to know that you can use a state. You can't use automation, but you can use a state to do colors and different things if you wanted to. And the way you do that is by showing the outline, and then also by picking the proper submodel definition or the state definition there. And that gives you the same shading effect that you would have before. Now this works really good if you don't really care to use this shading effect. Well, the model's fine like it is, but personally I don't like the hard edges, and I think that the softening of the edges gives it that 3D effect that you really need for this globe. And let's go through those steps again, right? The steps are literally face effect on the 3D shade. All right, so let's do this. We're going to put 3D shade face right here on the 3D shade. We're going to put it on brightness here in the layer blending. So it will be normal. This is what you'll see. You'll change that to brightness, and that grayscale will become a shadow over the top of the matrix, but nothing else, only the matrix. And so uh, that works really well. It's not that difficult. It's just those steps: face effect, define it, brightness, done. Um, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to get in touch with me, and I would more than happy to help you through this model. I hope you enjoy it. I hope this is easy enough to use and utilize. It is another step for you to take whenever you're sequencing, but I think it's more than worth it. All right, guys, have a good one. Talk to you later.